no king in thee. See, there's no king for the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're under the king of the so-called white man. We under the UN. They have seats in the UN. We don't have a king in the seat in the UN. It says, "Is there no king in you? Is thy counsel perish?" Verse 10, it says, "Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shall you go forth out of the city, and you shall dwell in the field, and you shall go even to Babylon." See, the children of Israel, we dwelling in the fields of Babylon. We first was in the cotton field, the sugarcane field, the tobacco field. But now we're in their work corporation field, their job field. You in the nursing field, the car salesman field, the grocery store field. See, they got all kind of fields. It says, "You shall go forth out of the city, and shall dwell in the field, and shall go even to Babylon. There shall you be delivered." See, when they went to Babylon the first time, nobody delivered them. When the Babylonians had them in captivity, nobody delivered the children of Israel from Babylon. This is a new Babylon. This is a new land of confusion that represents Babylon. It says, "There shall you be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem you from the hand of your enemies." See, when the Babylonians had the writings on the wall, the Persians came and took over the kingdom. And the Persians allowed the children of Israel to go rebuild their temple in Jerusalem. But the Persians were still over the children of Israel. See, the Persians were still ruling. They didn't deliver the children of Israel and set them free. They were still under their enemies, who was the Persians, even though they let them go back home and build their temple. Now, when it talks about being redeemed from the hand of thy enemies, Luke chapter 1 gives the definition of being saved. Being saved is not saying you sorry for sinning and you going to church every Sunday. That's not being saved. See, I'm saved, holy, sanctified. No. This is the definition of being saved. Luke chapter 1 verse 68, it says, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people." It says, "And he raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David," meaning in the family, from the family of David. Verse 70, it says, "As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began." Verse 71, "That we shall be saved from our enemies." See, that's the salvation that was always the salvation. "That we shall be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us." Verse 72, "To perform the mercy promised to our fathers." See, it's been promised through Jeremiah that the children of Israel would be saved from their enemies. It's been promised through Micah, the prophet Micah, that the children of Israel shall be saved from their enemies. It was promised through Joel that the children of Israel would be saved from their enemies. And when he promised, he's not going to go back on his promise. Verse 74, Luke 1 and 74, that he would grant unto us that were being delivered out of the hand of our enemies might serve him without fear. See, that's the whole purpose of the situation. The children of Israel that's in slavery, captivity, captured by these other nations, they will be saved and delivered. The name Yahushua, it means he delivers, he saves. And that's the purpose of Yahushua. He delivers, he saves. Let's see how is he going to do this delivering and saving. Matthew chapter 24, start from the top. It says, verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? See, they want to get the heck out of slavery. When is we going to get off from under these Romans, the so-called white man? When is we going to get away from these people? It says, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming? When are you going to come and save us? And the end of the world. Not the destruction of the world, but the end of these rulers. It says, let's get to the delivering. Verse 31, it says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other end of heaven. This is what the slaves were singing on the plantation. Willis Wallace, when he wrote the song Swing Low Sweet Chariot, he wrote another song called The Angels Are Coming. He wrote another song called The Angels Are Coming. Now when you're in a cotton field, you ain't no planes, ain't no chariots or planes in the sky. Ain't no helicopters in the sky. Ain't no balloons in the sky, floating balloons. When you're in the cotton field in 1860, ain't nothing in the sky but the stars. So when you see anything moving, you already know what that is. That's a chariot of the Most High. That's an angel. And when you in the cotton field, sun up to sun down, sometimes they will work you when the sun go down. They still working you in the cotton field. They'll bring a lantern out there with a light. Get to work, Negro. They were seeing the chariots way back then, and he was writing songs about it. The angels are coming. Swing low, sweet chariot to carry us home. Then the lie that they didn't know the Bible, they knew the Bible. They had preachers in the 1800s. This man named David Walker, he wrote a appeal to the Negro and was telling them, you coming from the west coast of Africa, y'all going back to the children of Israel. Y'all just not some colored people. Y'all just not some darkies. Y'all got a lineage, a heritage, a history, a culture, a language. That's why around the same time, they started pass all these literacy laws. The literacy laws was to stop these people from reading this book, stop these people from reading the records that was given to their people, stop them from reading their history. That's where all the literacy laws was coming from. And if you use a slave master that owned slaves, If you allow them to read, we gonna give you a fine, throw you in jail, and we gonna give you some punishments right along with your slave. That's what the literacy laws was all about. Now the Greeks was always trying to destroy our records. When you go into Maccabees, the first chapter, it tells you when the Greeks took over, the so-called white man, when they took over, they went to trying to destroy our records. It says, let's see here. Let's get this the beginning. It says in verse 41, it says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all shall be one people. Just like in America, everybody is an American. Forget your nationality, you're American. Verse 42, it says, everyone should leave his laws. See, y'all don't open up your records and go to reading that you shouldn't eat a pig and shouldn't sleep with your sister and a dog. Leave all them laws alone, man. You can do what you want to do here in America. And everyone shall leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Verse 43. Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. See, that's that Christianity. The law is done away with. See, the law is done away with. You don't have to keep them laws. No, them laws is done away with. See, that's the commandment of the king. And our peoples is doing it. Look at verse 47. He says, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols. See, they bowing down, kissing the feet of a statue of a so-called white man. And sacrifice swine's flesh, the pig, eating pork chops and chitterlings, the guts of a nasty, filthy pig. Now, when you get down to verse 56, it says, verse 56 is Maccabees chapter 1, verse 56. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 56. And when they had rent the pieces of books, and when they had rent, that means rip, when they had rent the pieces of the books of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire. See, when these people got our records, they went to burning the Bible, burning all the records, all the books, because they knew if these Israelites have these books, they gonna wake up and start prophesying, and our kingdom gonna fall. It says, and when they rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. 57. It says, whosoever was found with any book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they shall be put to death. See, that's what's coming very soon. See, they seeing how they getting cut so bad with these scriptures, and they don't got no understanding of the scriptures. They're going to start putting people to death for bringing out the truth. Now, the reason that they laid back right now, because 2 Thessalonians verse 4, 2 Corinthians, Colossians, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. It says, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not. See, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahushua who is the image of God shall shine unto them. See, he done blinded their mind because he's telling them the law is done away with. Don't entertain your people that's telling you that you need to learn the laws. The laws is done away with. So they totally blind. They don't understand what's going on. Because first of all, to understand, like Psalms 111 verse 10 say, you have to do the law, the commandments. So if you're not doing the law, you're not going to understand. So he say, them laws, don't do them laws. Don't worry about that they call it the Old Testament and the New Testament, when it's all the history of the Israelites. It's the records of the Israelites. Ain't no such thing as an old and a new. And let's get Romans chapter 15, verse 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime was written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. See, we see that he promised from Deuteronomy, he promised from long ago that he will reveal only to the children of Israel, only to those individuals that was in captivity. Joel chapter 2 and 3. He was going to pour out his spirit on the bondman and bondwoman. Why was he going to pour the spirit on the bondman and the bondwoman? That's what servant and handmaid mean. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring you into slavery again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold